Hello, hello, hello. Crafty Chris here for another Scrap Your Scraps Thursday night. Um, this one I actually started working on prior to thinking about videotaping it because I thought after the fact that you might like to see what I'm doing. So I am making a bunch of little tiny letters and envelopes that are going to go as gifts, rather than tags on top of gifts. And I've used up some old manila file folders. I'm sure you've seen these around. They just are that kind of yellowy, manila-y looking color. And I've cut a bunch of shapes using Sizzix Tim Holtz die, and this one is called Postal. So it has the envelope, it has the base plate that you write on. It has stamps. It has all these interesting little intricate dies for making letters. Now the dies that I used are the actual envelope, the actual writing surface, special delivery, the little arrow markers, the rectangle stamp and the circle stamp. I've used some of the numbers for the year, and I've used the long individual address label, and that is it. So let me show you what I've done so far. So these are all the components of what I'm making. So I have the cards here, the envelopes here. Inside this envelope has the insides of all the letters from special delivery, because I'm going to be popping the black letters back into the special delivery tag. The little arrows have been dyed. I dyed these with DecoArt Mr. Carbon Black. So I just shook it up and I just had these all laying out with the right side up, and I sprayed it, and now the back sides are lighter than the front sides, but the front sides are black. So the letters will be put back into special delivery, and I'll show you how I do that. And the arrows will be used on the envelope. And then I used DecoArt Mr. Red for coloring the circle stamps. And I went back in once I sprayed them, and I used a brush to make it more textured looking. So that's not going to help you see it. Let me see if turning it off makes a difference. See how you can see a mottled look there? That's what the paintbrush helped me do. And I moved it around a little bit. So each one of them has a different kind of mottled look. Okay. And then with these ones, I used Dylusions Shimmer Spray, and this one is London Blue. And it's a beautiful shiny surface versus the matte surface of the red. And I sprayed that on as well. All right. So now I'm going to put a few things together. I'm going to leave the writing card till after, because I want to actually write a little message in there. And the name tag is going to be left for after as well for each of the people. I am just going to leave this envelope because it has my bits and pieces for my special delivery letters. And I have to get a few envelopes on in order to do that special delivery letter. Or I just thought of something. I think I'm going to use my mini Xyron for the special delivery letter, because then it will have sticky in it and the letters will sit perfectly. So that's what I'm going to do. Move some things out of the way. All right, but first I have to glue these guys. And what I'm just going to use is sequin tape to get these put together. And there's two different ways you can do it. You can, well, there's 4 different ways. You can use if you look at the direction of the side tabs, there's a flat top and then a more rounded top. So you can fold the flat tops over, the bottom up, the flat tops over, okay? Or you can switch that around, fold the bottom up and the rounded tops over. It's totally up to you. Let me just place those down so you can see the difference. So this is with the top open. Let me have the same side. So one is a higher space up to the envelope here, one is a lower space. That's the only difference. Now the other thing you can do is put the insides in and the outside on top. That's not how I like to do it. So I think I'm going to put the rounded side because I want them to actually see there's a card in there. So I'm going to stick all of my pieces together that way. So I am going to put some sequin tape or double-sided tape as far into the corner as I can get it, and just rip it off on both sides. And I'm using, I think it's the 1/4 inch tape, and I've got a little too much on this one, so let me just trim this back a bit. There we go. All right, now when I fold this over, it will stick fine, but I have to have something sticking the envelope. So I'm going to put a little piece of sequin tape on the end of the side that's going to flap over. All right, so now taking all my covers off. And this off as well because I want to make sure that it fits nicely. Now my letter is not going to be thick. It's going to be thin, so I don't have to worry about sort of making it a little bit more open. I can fudge that when I'm sticking it together, but this will work fine because it's a very thin little card. Okay. So now I'm going to go about doing all of my envelopes. Now I'm looking at that and I'm thinking to myself, I don't really like that. Isn't that interesting? So let me do one the other way. Isn't that interesting? Don't like the way that flap looks. So let me try it the other way. And see if I like it better. Okay, so fold that side down, and then this goes over, and that looks much better, doesn't it? Huh. Could also do it another way. So there's one way, not big fan of that. Here is with the top down, but the other way, let me show you, I'm thinking I could do, is putting the flaps down first. So let me get some, so there's 3 different ways that you can do this. You put the flaps down first, close that up, and this has the black on it from the printing on the file folder, and I thought I'd just leave it because it looks kind of cool. And now I'm going to do the edges of this. Make sure that it's going to stick. Ooh, I have to be careful about that. Oh, it'll just make it. Okay, so I'm going to use a slightly thinner tape when I do it this way, and I'll explain the differences. because you can get too much tape on there. And then when I fold it, the bottom meets the top. So here's our 3 different ways. So I think the intention was originally to have it with the flat top side up, okay? And you tuck it under, you crisscross it, and then when you put the top down, it meets in the center. That's what I think the original intention is. Now, if you use the bottom side, so instead of using this flat side, you flip it over and you crisscross that way, you end up with a smaller a smaller triangle at the bottom and a larger triangle at the top. So you see more of the card when you lift the lid of the card, but when you flap it down, it's got this weird sort of way that it's sitting. And then the third way that we tried it was with the short top, so using, again, the flat edge up, okay, and then having the sides done first and bringing the bottom over the top and closing down. So when they're all closed, which do I like the best? Do not like that one. This one looks okay when it's closed, but then when it's open it looks weird. This one is okay closed, and for some reason it looks a little bit better open too. So I'm going to stick with the original way, but I thought I would like to try the other ways to see whether there was a difference. So I am going to go on and do that again for you so you can see. So when I'm taking the template that I've cut out, it's a large piece that goes in your die cutter. It's the flat edge, not the rounded edge. The flat edge with more of a corner that we're going to crisscross. And we're putting the bottom up first. And you can use your 1/4 inch on this. So we're covering the base of the card. And as you can see, my card has folds there. I'm just leaving them there because that's the nature of the medium that I'm working with, or the base that I'm working with. And I think it's kind of fun. All right, so there's my bottom. Here's my side. Flat top with the pointy edge, pointy corner. All right. And now I'm peeling these off. And when I crisscross, it gives a nice finished bottom and a nice finished top when I close it. Okay, so that's the one you want to use. All right, now I'm going to do my envelopes and come back for the next step. All right, so here is the envelopes that I put together and created. I have enough that I need for my packaging. Now I am going to take my special delivery and put them in my Xyron so I get sticky on the back of them. Okay, so make sure they don't cross over each other. This one doesn't want to go in, of course. There we go. Pulling them through, ripping it off. Now, I don't want to press down where the sticky is over the special delivery, but I do want to make sure that I get the sticky off around the outside edges. So I'm not going to put any pressure along the top. I'm just going to put pressure around the outside edges to get the sticky off, because when you pull back the plastic, it pulls back any extra sticky. But I need the sticky in those spots. So now I pull it back very carefully, and there is still sticky in those spots where my letters are. And then if I just want to make extra sure there's no sticky around the outside, I just get my glue eraser and go around the outside edge Try to make sure I've cleaned off so I don't add any glue. There we go. Put it down the center. There we are. Try not to touch the center of. There we go. All right, so now I've got my special deliveries on here, and I need to now place my letters inside. And you're going to need some kind of a tweezer because these things are really finicky. If you have a gem picker, that will actually work as well. And I thought I had a gem picker nearby. I can't seem to see it. All right, so we'll use this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put our letter, if we can pick it up, and we're going to insert it in the space where it's supposed to live, and then press it down. And you see how it looks like you've specially printed it, but it's actually inserted. So I know it's craziness, and some people might think that maybe it's a little too much, and that's okay. You do you. But I like the look of it pressed back in. Now these little bitty bits over here are the ones that I'm using to fill in. I'm going to make sure I get it in the right side. The right side is the convex side, the side that's open or rounded. And now that can fit. Whoops. It's flipped over. There we go. That can fit. Whoops. Trust me, when you've done it a few times, it gets easier. Keeps wanting to flip over on me, but there we go. Meddle with it a little bit before it sticks. Okay, this is like watching come on. Whoop. Okay, now I'm getting all tense. All right. I just dampened the end of my tweezer. And that should fit right in there. There we go. There's our P. And then find our C. And an I. There's an I. Get the right side of the I. Whoop, that was the right side. And the A. There we go. And the L. Flip it over the right way. There we go. And now the little triangle part of the A is right there. And this I have to move just a smidge. There we go. And there we have special. So I'm going to go do this off screen because it is going to take a little bit of time, and I will see you back shortly. Alrighty, so here we are. We've got all our special deliveries done. Now I saved the tape that has some sticky on it because I want to try to see if I can use this somehow. So I'm going to take one of these circles because I don't need them. I'm going to see if I can get that on there. And I switched to using the gem pen, and it worked very quickly to get these done. Okay, so now let's see what happens when I try to take that off. Nothing happens. Okay, well that's good to know. Okay, garbage. So that didn't work. But that's okay. That was just a test because I was curious. Alrighty, so now I'm going to age these a little bit. And I'm going to take a little bit of crooked broomstick, which is a Tim Holtz product. And shake it up until the bottom is all mixed in. Make sure I have a tissue handy to wipe it down. Okay. Now, all I need my paper mask. And I'm going to spray some of this on, oh, it didn't stay, on the ground. Get my little dauber. So I have a little mini dauber for this kind of stuff. And I'm just going to put some of this on the mat. And I just put a piece of paper around it so it didn't spray everywhere, but it looks like it did anyway. Whoa, making a mess. Alrighty. So this one is back that up a touch because I don't want it all over the place. Alrighty. I actually think I'm going to water this down significantly, so I'm not going to use the dauber. I am going to use a paintbrush and some water. So just splash some water on my mat. Grab myself a paintbrush. Okay, and I'm just going to take a little of that mica, make it really watery. And I'm just going to sort of splash it on the edges. Okay. very quickly. Splash that around the edges, a little bit over the front facing of it. There we go. Gonna leave those to dry over here. Okay, now I'm gonna get my paper towel, clean off my brush, put water over here. There we go. And then squish up my paper towel and just dig into that to clean it up. There we go. So keep adding more and more colors into my paper towel until it gets finished. And finished is when it looks good. Alrighty, so now I'm going to get these guys. Actually should have left that. That's okay. We use more. There we go. Swipe off nozzle so it doesn't get stuck. So I'm using the same thing. I'm using crooked broomstick. And this time I am going to use the sponge. And I'm just putting this along the edge. And then I'm going to add water to it by dipping my edges. So I'm just running my edges through to water them up a little bit. And then what it does is it makes those harsh edges kind of bleed into the paper. And I just keep doing it until I like the effect. See how it all just kind of bleeds into the paper? And then I'll put that to the side to dry. And do the next one. Okay, and again, run that through water. And let it just bleed into the paper. Just keep adding more and more water until I like how it's bled. Okay, so these are two that have the hard edges done. Now, I'm going to show you what it looks like by doing water first, and then the ink. So I'm wetting the edges so they get nice and wet. Then I'm going to take this and I'm I'm just going to let that bleed out a little bit. So it has a very, well, it's a similar look. I think I prefer wetting afterwards, because this you still get those hard lines. The wetting afterwards seems to sort of get rid of the harsh lines. So we'll stick with that. Oops. And wetting those lines. Usually go around twice to get it nice and soaking wet. And then I just kind of rotate it. Let it do its thing. Okay. Just let that dry. Excuse me. Now this has a little bit of a cut in it, so we'll see what happens when I water it down. There we go. Let's get the water all back here. Just rotate a little. And see, that one's pulling out a lot of the green, which is interesting. Okay, so let me just move these out of the way. So I'm going to finish these off and dry them, and I'll be back shortly. Okay, so I've got my 7 pieces of the letter over on that side, and now I'm going to do the outside edges of this. But this I'm just going to spray into a puddle. And this is a peppermint stick. Get my spray guard again. And I've shaken it up so the bottom is all nice and mixed in. And now, okay, there we go. And now I'm just going to run all the edges of this through. So, and if it gets messy, that's fine. Oops, my fingers are getting awfully messy now. It's all good. Not too much on that one. Now I better wipe off my fingers before I get too messy. So I'm just spraying some water on my fingers. And I've got a cleaner paper towel, and I'm just rubbing the offending red off a little bit. And let's just finish edging these guys. There we go. Move them a little out of the way, and I'm going to clean that mess up. Another dry paper towel. Just suck it all up there. There we go. Another color added to the mass of colors there. And I'll just wipe that. Put the cap back on. Okay, so now I need to clean my hands. The red doesn't come off as nicely as the brown does, but it comes off good enough. All right, so I've got all these guys that are going to go on the outside of the envelope. So here is my envelope. That looks a little bit red still. There we go. Just clean it up a little more. Make sure it's dry. There we go. Okay, so now I have the front plate that's going to go in this area. I'm going to have a double stamp, so I'm going to put the stamp down, and on top of the stamp I'm going to have the red seal. Maybe I'll put those two pieces together right now. Whoops. Lost the little ball off my pin, but it still works. And remember, when you're putting a ball inside your glue, you want to make sure it's a stainless steel pin, not anything else. There we go. And I'm using clear. And I'm trying to put it more or less in the center. And this is quick drying glue. So the hope is that it sticks quickly. There we go, there's one. I'll do one more and then I'll go off and do it quietly on my own and come back when they're all done. Oh, got some blue flakes on the front there. There we go. That one's done. All right. I will be back. Okay, so I have all of my stamps done. Here they are here. There's going to be something that goes in the center of those. And now I have my envelope. So I'm going to be sticking the stamps like you normally would on the envelope. And whoops. Again, using quick dry glue. Just sketchy. You don't have to have it so full that it leaks out. And that's going on, just leaving about 1/16 of an inch all the way around. Whoop. Okay, so there's one. Put all my envelopes here. These guys need to to dry just a little bit more. Two. And as you can see, I'm just drawing the glue on thin and sketchy. Again, leaving that 1/16 of an inch around the outside edge. Okay. And I will finish and come back. They're all done now. So now we go on to the next step. And the next step is to put down these guys right here. But they are still a little damp, so I need to do a tiny bit of drying. Put my pen in my glue. I don't really want to blow away. Okay, so they're moving around too much, which means I need to get my grip tool. I'm just going to dry them off. This is my little grip tool. It can handle the heat and the blowing. So I'm just drying it. And again. And it just allows me to have more control over the actual pieces so they don't fly around my desk and my fingers don't get burnt. Let's be a bit further in. There we go. There. Okay, so that's my little hand guys. They do get gunked up, so you want to be washing them every once in a while because they do touch wet things. So now you can look at them and decide which side of your pieces you'd like to keep, because they will be different on both sides. Some will have a little less, and on the other side there's more. Actually, I don't mind them having some blotchiness. Alright, so these are going to go front and center. Now, I haven't decided if I want to pop dot them or not. I think I will pop dot them. So I'm going to get my little pop dot strips. There's so many different kinds of pop dots now. I think that will be good enough. And I think I want the white ones, not the black ones. These are narrow. If I can find the white ones. There we go. So I have some strips that are about, I would say 3/8 wide. Let's see, ½ inch wide. Or I could use my roll tape too. This is easy. I can just measure out what I need and cut the whole roll accordingly. And then I don't have to bother with it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, this one doesn't want to come off. 4, 'oops. Okay, so I've got 2 little pieces here stuck together. That's not going to work. So I'm just going to put that back on here because it flipped over and stuck. And I'm just going to use the rest. Make sure they're all turned over. 5, 6, and 7. There we go. Done. All right, so now I'm just going to put these slightly to the left of the stamp and a little bit down, like that. Push these guys up there for a minute. Go. And the fun thing about doing multiples is you might as well, while you've got your dies and everything out, just cut tons of them. Go. And there we go. Okay, so there you have it. Okay, so now the next step is to adhere these guys. Now these guys are like a postage stamp thing that goes through your stamp. And there's 4 different sizes. Super skinny one too. There, that's the one I'm missing. And they go very tightly together. There's 4 sizes. And that creates your sort of canceled stamp, like it's gone through the post. And we're going to put that across the stamp. But we need to figure out how we're going to do that all in one fell swoop, because I don't want to be messing around with bits and pieces. Now, I don't know if they'll go through this, but I'm going to try it. I might lose them. That has happened before. Now, get my little pokey tool. Make sure I've got the right side up. Yep, that's the right side. Just pull this forward a tiny little bit. I'm going to use this guy again, just to get him in. Now let's see if that works. Then we are going to do that to all of them, but we'll do them all at once so we don't waste. This is my roller tool. It's actually for doing rub-ons, but it works really nicely for this purpose too. Alrighty, and then we pull this off somehow. They're very tiny. There we go. And now we take one of these, and we're going to take the big one, and we're going to put that right across and try and center it a little bit. There we go. That's the big one. And then the next one is just going to be a 1/16 of an inch in. This actually needs to be cleaned up slightly. And then this one is going to be a 1/16 of an inch in. And then this one is 1/16 of an inch in. And there you go. There's your cancellation stamp. Now, I think, looking at it, that I need to give a little more space, because this is just a little bit too tight. You don't really get to see the red coming through as nicely as I want. So on the second one, I'm going to spread it out a little bit more. But right now, I'm going to put them all through this. You've just seen me try it, so it does work. And we just need to put them all through at the same time so we don't waste any of the extra glue. So I will do that, and I will be right back. Okay, so I have them all on my sticky stuff, my Xyron stuff, and I'm just now going to go quickly around each of them to make sure that I pull off as much sticky around them as possible. You don't want to have something sharp when you're doing this. This has a nice round ball on it, and the ball moves. This would be too sharp, and that would be too sharp. You risk actually damaging. So if you miss the line here and go across it with the amount of weight that you're putting on it to get that sticky off, you could scratch the surface of your die cut. So it's better to have a rounder roller than one that is too pointy. So you don't want to ruin all that hard work. There's nothing worse than going back to cut one little teeny tiny piece. Okay, so here we are, pretty done. I'm going to rip this off, and I'm going to take it off fairly slowly so that I can pull as much adhesive as possible. There we go. And if you want, you can just go lightly over everything with an adhesive eraser. It just picks up whatever's left over that you might have missed. And you're just doing that lightly. You're not doing it heavy-handed because it will actually lift up the pieces because the pieces are small. There we go. And then take those little balls off your eraser so it's ready for the next time. Okay, so now we're going to start slightly bigger. So I'm going to start about centered. Okay, and then my next piece is this piece, and this time I'm going to go 3/16 of an inch, not quite an eighth. Yeah, not 3/16 of an inch, just not quite of an eighth, not quite an eighth. And then we'll do this one, and then the final little one, and then we'll see if we like it. Make sure we have them all evenly spaced. Yeah, that's getting better. Definitely like this one better than that. That's too close. So I'm going to try one that's even further spaced out and see which way I want to go. Sometimes it's just trial and error. So I'm going to give this one about an 1/8 of an inch in between. Okay. 1, 2, 1/8 of an inch, and it's a little more than an 1/8 of an inch. All right, so here are our choices. I actually like the one that's spread 1/8 of an inch because you can it really catches your eye and draws your eye to what's going on there. So that's how we're going to do the rest of them. We're going to do the rest 1/8 of an inch, and we're going to do it multiple style. Okay, so starting with the big ones. One, 2, 3, and 4, 1, 2, 3, and oh, thanks. That'll lost one there. Whoops. Put the wrong one on that one. Try to gently get that off. Gotta make sure you have the right sizes. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, and here's the other one. Four. And then the medium, small, 1, 2. Kind of goes off the page a little. Now I know I'm short one because I lost one in amongst all the cutting, and so I'm going to end up having to have one that only has 3 sections, so we're going to leave that one for now. So this one has 3 sections. There we go. And the rest I can put. Oops, I lost another one. Oh my goodness. This is the skinny. And they're very fine. It is very easy to lose these little guys. So they're not on there, or they're on my elbows. Sometimes they end up on your elbows. Sometimes they end up on the floor, along with all the other garbage that's down there. Sometimes they end up stuck to an actual thing. Sometimes they end up inside your other die cuts. But it does not appear that it is here. If I find it, I will add it later. So I have 2 that only have 3 lines. All right. So that's basically what we have for the card. Now, I had considered putting this across the top. Let me just give you a sense of what that would look like. Uh-oh. I was thinking of putting it there, but that's way too much. So I think what I'm going to do is put it across the front of the card. And then my writing across the back of the card. So that's the front. That will go in here. So people will pull it out, see special delivery, and my message is on the back. So that's the plan. So let's get all our special delivery things out here. And you have to take these off carefully because the little tiny hole fillers, like that one there, they will slip down. Oh, it doesn't even have one. But that's okay because you don't notice it. It's filled in anyway. So there's 2. Make sure everything's nice and pushed down. This is 3. Lost the A part. I'm not going to worry about it because you don't even notice it. That's 4. That's going to go in the garbage. And this goes along there. 5. fix. I have a dog, and that dog's hair ends up everywhere. I don't know how it happens. We're constantly vacuuming and cleaning, but it doesn't seem to matter. Oops. Okay. So the L came off of this one, but it's stuck to my finger, so it's all good. Where's my little tool? There we go. And I just pop it back in, rub it down. There we go. Okay, so those are that part of it. Now on the letter, on the back side of the letter, now this doesn't look very Christmassy yet, but I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. So I need to put the date. So on the side that I'm going to write on, which is this side, I want to put the date. So I'm again going to try and get my 2's and everything through the Xyron. Because it, oh, no, don't drop them, whatever you do. Because they're hard to find if you lose one. Come on. There we go. So, 2, get this little pokey tool in there. Stick it in as close as I can. Two, 0. Another 2. And as I said, I'll just show you what I'm going to do with it, and then I will do this niggly-piggly work all on my own after I test it to make sure I can do it, which seems like I don't have a problem with it. It's just niggly-piggly. Use your gem tool for getting it in there. Okay, and make sure all of the sides and everything are pushed down. Peel it back. Try not to take it off the background. And there is sticky on it, so we're going to have to do a little bit of gentle picking up. This guy seems to have got the most stickiness. So these ones might be a little more work in terms of de-sticking. Because you don't want it to stick where it's not supposed to stick, like on the inside of the envelope. So now my message is going to go in here. I could put 2022 across there, at the corners, at the top, at the side, coming down the side. Actually, I like that idea. 2022 coming down the side. Alrighty, so give myself about 1/8 of an inch from the bottom and the side, and already I'm not straight. There we go. And give myself about 1/8 of an inch in between as well. So it spreads it out nicely. Now the circle, or the zero in this set, is a little bit shaped, but if you don't get it in the right lineup, I wouldn't worry about it too much. It doesn't really show that much. Oops. There we go. So there's my 2022 at the side, and now I'm going to write my message in there. So I am going to do that for all of them, and I don't think I will return with this because the messages are kind of private, but the names go on the front, the message goes inside and the back with special delivery as the first thing that they see when they pull it out, and they turn it over and there's a special message. Okay, so that's it for tonight's Scrap Your Scraps. What I did here in terms of using up scraps is I used up my inks, I used up some old manila paper, folders that I had lying around. Everything, you know, I'm using up my tape and my glue and my Xyron stuff, and I'm using my dies. So it's important to get some use out of your dies because a lot of us are great collectors, but we don't get around to actually using things. So that's it for me tonight. I'll just put a couple of these out so you can see what we did. 2022. And we will see you next week.